Welcome to Tackle Talk Live, dedicated to making you a better fisherman. Proudly brought to you by our sponsors: The Boat Shop, 3J's Fourway, Pride Rods, Keith's Toledo Bend Tackle, The Lakes Insurance Agency, One Stop Tackle, Lone Star Bass Trail, V&M Baits. Now on to your hosts, Ranger Daiwa Pro Staff Steve Graff and V&M Baits President Kevin Jean.
Welcome to another edition of Tackle Talk Live. Once again, I'm Ranger Daiwa Pro Staffer Steve Graff, along with V&M General Manager and President, CEO, whatever title you want to give him, of V&M Baits. He is the man at V&M. Kevin Jean. And Kevin, today we're kind of taking a little trip north of Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend. We're going to head for Lake Fork today, and don't turn us off. Keep us tuned in. Pass the word along, because we got some really good information from a really good guy from Lake Fork today.
We do. Lake Fork Guide Jason Conn is going to join us. Last week, Jason had a client that caught a 1298. It was a bed fish, and it's a really interesting story. I know Jason very well, good friend of mine, V&M Pro Staff guy. And anyway, Jason saw the fish for like 2 days. Really good story. We'll get into that with Jason, but really want to get into Lake Fork, where it's at with the spawn. I know a lot of people from our area, the Shreveport area, make trips to Lake Fork this time of year. So we just wanted to kind of update you guys on Lake Fork, kind of where it's at, kind of a lull here in big tournaments, Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn. So next week, we're going to be right back talking about Sam Rayburn. We got the Sealy's Big Bass Splash coming up. So next Monday will be all about Sam Rayburn. But today we're going to be talking Lake Fork.
And I'm telling you right now, if you've never been to Lake Fork, Texas, you owe it to yourself to make that trip, because it is truly and can be the trip of a lifetime. Great fishing. Got some great guys over there with James being one of them. And these guys know where to go. It's not an overly huge lake. And so it's a great lake to go fishing on. It's easy to get around on pretty much. Just got to know where you're at. But you owe it to yourself to go to Lake Fork at least once. Probably the bass fishing capital of Texas right now. So that being said, we've also got the Boss Tournament Trail results from the Bayou Outdoors team circuit up in Shreveport. They went to Caddo Lake, had a great event up there. Got some good inside information for all you Caddo Lake guys that are over there fishing. Also, Kevin and I are going to give you our input as to the Bassmaster Elite Series. They're headed for the Sabine River this week, and what could be a really good event. It's going to be different. It's going to be a little different. It's not going to be the hog catching and the big bass being weighed in, but it could be a numbers game, and it could be a really tight top 10. I mean, ounces could separate first to 10th. I mean, it could be those kind of weights, Kevin.
Oh, it will be that kind of event. Anywhere between that 9 to 11 pound mark, those guys are going to catch a lot of those fish. What I'm hearing reports down there's a lot of fish to be caught. It's got a really good population, even after the hurricanes, and we'll kind of jump into that as well.
A lot of fish.
I think there will be a lot of fish caught. Ton of bags from 8 to 11 pounds. It's just going to be kind of where you fall out on that mark. If you make the cut, maybe don't make the cut. Right. What it's going to take to win? Will we see somebody make that long run to Houston? What's the bass fishing population like over there now? It's going to be an interesting event, absolutely.
Yeah, it really is. And looking forward to talking about that. And like I said, Kevin and I got some little inside information on that as well. And all of that is what we're going to cover today. Got a couple of tournaments coming up. We'll talk about Bob Sealy getting ready to kick off his deal at Sam Rayburn, not this coming week, but the next weekend. And so looking forward to and maybe try to have Bob on
next week. Next week's the tournament, so might try to have Bob on, and also we'll have some guys on for some fishing reports, some local guides, local fishermen, give you some fishing reports, in depth, when and where, what to do for the Big Bass Splash to try to get you paid.
Got all that and much more today. First, we got some great sponsors we want to recognize.
The Boat Shop. Mr. Raymond Kidd and his staff take great pride in keeping your boat and motor performing at its best. A certified Yamaha dealer and full support Garmin dealer offering the best in electronics and the new Garmin trail motor. Stop by 2410 Sanford Avenue in Shreveport and let the boat shop take care of all your boating needs. Give them a call at 318-402-0399 or go to shreveportboatshop.com.
You know, there's a lot of bass trails out there, Kevin, that me and you both fish, and there's so many out there you can't fish everything. But there's one called the Lone Star Bass Trail that's specifically designed for Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend. And they do a great job of putting together these team events. There's one more left for the spring for the Lone Star Open Series Team Trail. It's May 2nd out of Toledo Bend, and it'll be a great tournament. Also, their championship will be May 23rd, but it's a 5-fish limit, $5,000 first place prize in the championship, $150 entry fee for each event. So if you're looking for something to fish on May 2nd, make sure you check that out. And also, they got a circuit that will crank up in the fall, September 12th. It's a 4-series event with another championship in December 19th, which is my anniversary, so I better not fish that. But anyway, they'll have a fall circuit we'll talk about later on in the year.
And for the Lone Star Bass Trail, you can go to their Facebook page for their MLF style format style tournaments, and he goes over all the rules and regulations for those formats and what rules they have that's kind of comparable to the MLF style that they do there. Also, next sponsor, 3J's Fourway and Cypress Knee Outdoors, a store within a store and a great place for lunch with an awesome deli with the best fried chicken in the South. 3J's Fourway offers gas, food, and ice, but Cypress Knee Outdoors offers a great selection of hunting and fishing gear. Products by Santone, Strike King Spro, Gamakatsu, and the #1 soft plastic on the planet, V&M Baits. Hunting supplies from Primo, guns from Winchester, Remington, and Mossberg, along with a great selection of ammunition. Stop in and say hello to Mr. John Abraham and his great staff, located 1 mile east of I-49 off exit 127. So if you're coming up from South Louisiana to Natchitoches and you turn left to go to either Toledo Bend or Sam Rayburn, it is exit 127 just south of Natchitoches before you get to us.
Yep.
Stop in, stock up on all your tackle boating needs before you get to the lake.
Yep. Wow. Kevin's getting James Conn. I want to invite you to. I'm writing some articles for the Natchitoches Parish Journal and the Lincoln Parish Journal. Their internet, it's an internet magazine. I've been doing some articles for since probably last November. I give each and every week details about my fishing experiences, cover different topics from the best lakes in our region, give you in-depth knowledge of what's going on in those bodies of water, what you can expect, accommodations and so forth, and just my weekly and daily and tournament experiences as an angler for each of these events. I kind of do a wrap-up of each of the events that I'm fishing. And so a lot of interesting topics that I'll cover on the journal. So, hey, I ask you to tune us in. You can go to subscribe, Natchitoches Parish Journal or the Sabine, I keep saying Sabine, Lincoln Parish Journal. So tune us in, check it out. I think you'll like it. And on the phone, we have with us the man himself, Mr. Lake Fork Guide, Mr. Jason Conn. How you doing, Jason?
Good, man. How are y'all doing?
We're doing great.
Jason, live from the water today, I'm hearing.
Yes, sir.
Well, we want to hear if there's any fish catching going on. Let us know what those are.
If you have to pause and net a fish, you just give us a quick. Hey guys, I'll be back in just a minute. We just need to know weight and time.
I'll throw it on speaker.
Now, Jason, with everything going on, of course, you know we had the really hard cold snap come through a few weeks ago, and tell us your opinion on how much has that set back the spawn at Lake Fork.
Well, the fish were actually about to be prime at it right before that happened. I mean, there was guys already catching them in a foot or less of water, and then when that happened, it really put a damper on all that. Actually, right now is like this week. I think is probably going to be the week that it's going to happen. Like there's going to be fish everywhere on beds throughout the whole lake. I mean, I was on the north end earlier, saw beds, and I'm fishing south end really on the clear waters where I'm finding my big fish.
Yeah.
Now, Kevin tells me you're pretty much you're a big sight guy. You like to do a lot of sight fishing. Is that something customers get in the boat with you that they really want to do that?
This time of year, yeah, mostly. People usually that hire me to do it. You know, come in April, they want it. That's kind of primarily what they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Jason, we had a 1298 caught out of your boat last week, correct?
Yes, sir.
So I was telling Steve before the show kind of the story of how that all went down, and you kind of led everybody through it through your social media. Kind of take it through it. This of course was a sight fishing fish, and you seen the fish the day before. Kind of take us through all this, how this all went down.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to take full credit for finding the fish. A buddy of mine actually texted me and said he saw it. It was in a deeper bed. And he was fixing to get off. So we come over there and we sat side by side and kind of watched it. And then he left. He could never get it. He left. We sat there for about 4 hours. Me and the customer I had that day, he didn't want to leave it. I told him it was probably 11 to 12 pounds. So we sat there that whole evening. I mean, we threw the box. I have the cool part was I got the 360, so we got away from it, and you could see the fish on the bed. And then I also had the live scope, so I turned the live scope over towards it, and you could actually see the fish come up to the bed. You could throw a bait by it. Like I was even throwing Alabama rigs. I mean, that day we were throwing everything that we could by it just to try to get it to bite, but it wouldn't. So go home that night. The next day, hey, there's a big one right there on that bed.
We got a big one on the bed.
Yeah, we're doing play-by-play now.
Hey, but don't hit me with that.
You don't want to take any J-bugs to the face while we're on.
Or V&M jig either.
They're known for catching 185-pound males. Anyway, so the next morning, actually, I had some boat trouble that night on the way in from that fish, but I got it squared away and fixed, and met my guys at 9 that morning. We went out and we saw her again, and they saw her and they didn't want to leave her, so we would have sat there the whole 8-hour trip. And then the weird deal about it was I told them, I said, we need to sit down and just give her some time, because she would go away and it'd take her a little bit longer to come back. So me and the guy that we were actually trying to get to catch the fish, we sat down, and no longer did I actually put my butt in the seat. The dude set the hook on her and caught her. She come up beside the boat, and I knew right then she was probably a share lunker. I kept telling her, I was like, man, she's 13 plus, but she ended up being 12.98.
Wow. Now, Jason, when you lock on these big fish like that, anything over 10 pounds, do you find those bigger females react a little differently to bed fishing than say smaller fish? Do you see a difference in how they react?
Not really. I mean, basically, when a fish is locked on the bed, it doesn't matter if it's 1 pound to 15 pounds. They're there to protect that bed. Yeah. And I feel like they don't. Hey, throw it past it, and then drop it on top of it. There's we got an 8-pounder right here.
Oh. Small fish.
But once they start to lay and they're in protect mode at that point, they turn into a mother and they're protecting the beds. And I mean, typically, when they're actually sitting on top of the bed and you throw over there and they spin around or all that, those are pretty easy fish to catch. But if they leave and then they come back pretty quick, you can usually, catch them pretty, I usually can sit there and tell the guy, we're going to catch this fish. It might take us 30 minutes. It might take us an hour, but we'll catch this fish. Like these two that I'm sitting on right now, we're going to catch both of them.
Yeah, if they're acting right, and not leaving the bed, then they're going to be catchable. Now, Jason, right now, this week, I mean, as you said, you're sitting on an 8-pounder right now. You think it's going to happen this week? How many, on average, every year when it's the week, when it's going to happen, how many, because probably 50% of the fish you see on a bed, maybe not even 50% on Lake Fork, you actually catch, or actually you hit the timing perfect. How many 10-plus pounders do you see on a bed that is locked on?
Man, that's hard to say, honestly. Last week alone, I'm sure you probably saw a little bit of this on my social media, but we found one that was between 14 and 15 pounds. That is what I guessed the weight on. We set on her. It was one of those days where it was super cloudy all day, but we just happened to roll up and she took off, and we saw her on the live scope a little bit, but she just would not go back to the bed. We saw her 3 times and then she left. and then I saw another one that I figured was probably 12 to 13 possibly, and then the one that we just caught, I thought that one was 11 or 12. So, but I mean, typically I can see at this time of year, I can typically see, three or four a week off of over 10 pounds.
Right.
A lot of 7, 8, 9 pounders. But the problem is a lot of these bigger fish, like that one that we caught the other day, she's in a 3.5 to 4 foot deep bed.
Yeah.
That most fishermen aren't even going to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You've got to look. You got to start. Getting your trolling motor away from the 4 foot mark and start looking out, in those deeper beds to be able to catch these fish. Cause, they get spooked once a trolling motor goes over it, and then it totally ruins it. That one's sitting right there.
What about, Jason? Some guys swear electronics can mess up bed fishing. Do you turn yours off? But it sounds like you continue to run yours.
I continue to run mine. I do see people sometimes that even actually pull their trolling motor up out of the water. It may have an effect, but like I said, man, once these fish are locked on a bed, it doesn't matter. You can sit there and rub your pole across the top of the water in front of them, and they're going to sit there. They're going to protect it just like like a deer is going to protect her baby or whatever.
Jason, what was the 1298 caught on? I have to be that guy and ask.
It was actually caught on a white J-bug.
So that is Steve. So we've had the 15 caught in the champs, and then he caught the 1298 on a white J-bug.
White J-bug.
It's something in Fork that
you probably can't find a white J-bug around Fork right now.
I'm shipping plenty of them that way. I promise you.
You typically cannot find them. We're fixing to have one live for you in just a second.
Now, Jason, speaking of the white, how long will you fish the white? Like, is this just a spawning deal, or will you fish
That's a good question, man. All right, so a lot of people ask me that. These guys today ask me that. I use white because I can actually see it.
Right.
And I like to be able to see when the fish, especially being a guide and having to tell somebody when to set the hook when they can't always see it. I like to be able to see the bait disappear. So you don't always have to use white, but, especially if it's dirty water and you just absolutely can't see the fish anyways, it doesn't really matter what color you use.
Yeah.
So like right now, we're sitting here looking at both of these fish. I'm dropping a bait on top of the 8-pounder's head right now, and she just sits there and looks at it.
Yeah. Like I've been throwing bubble gum a lot at Rayburn, and it's an easy color to see. I guess you could throw a J-bug in bubble gum. Do you make bubble gum?
No, I don't have no bubble gum.
Come on, Kevin.
I got Firebug, which you can see. You can see.
I have thrown that.
Yeah.
Now, Jason, we know you're on a trip today. We're not going to hold you up much longer. One thing I do want to pick your brain about: the Elite Series is coming April 22nd. Will we get some tail end of some spawning action there when the Elite guys are there, or will it be a full post spawn deal?
It's going to be. They're here next week. It's going to be a full out spawn.
Yeah.
There's. I'm telling you, I'm looking at beds that are all over this lake right now that don't even have fish on them yet.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I know y'all are a little further south, but we've had some 40-degree mornings, and the other day we had 38 degrees the other morning. So it's just kind of keeping them turned around, pushed back out, and then later in the day you'll start seeing them kind of roaming. And I've actually seen more today roaming around than I've seen this whole spring. I feel like the next week with these 80s coming in, 80-degree temperatures, I feel like there's going to be a massive, spawn.
A big push within the next week or two. So we could see some giant bags come from that Elite event then.
Yeah.
I think if you got some guys that can sight fish, which I know that a lot of these guys can, but oh my God. I'm having to flip.
Did we break off?
No.
No.
I do want to say this while y'all are on here. I know some of y'all may not know who this is, but Cole Wetzel, he did some donating stuff around Lake Fork after all that, the freeze and things where people, weren't able to have water, food, things like that. Well, he donated, and we did a deal at Lake Fork Resort. Come here. He's actually going to be fishing with me for the next 2 days starting tomorrow. So I just want everybody to be watching for that and kind of pay attention to him because, he's done some good around here for everybody. So,
amen, man. That's good.
Well, good luck to you guys, Jason. I appreciate you coming on with us.
Yeah, man, no problem. Thank y'all.
All right. Jason Conn, Lake Fork Guide over there in Lake Fork, Texas. And again, you owe it to yourself, people. I'm telling you, it's a great place to go fishing. It's a lot of fun. And again, Jason's a guide over there that lives on that body of water, fishes it 7 days a week. He can put you on them. So check it out. And you can go to his Facebook page.
That is very, very interesting to hear him say where them fish are still going to be at, that there still will be some spawning fish for the Elite Series event coming up there. That will absolutely be a whack fest. Bassmaster has gotten very lucky and fortunate with the scheduling. Was it last year Brandon Cobb? No, it was 2 years ago, because last year Patrick Walters won it on the jerkbait. It was okay. The fishing wasn't great.
Right, and that was a fall tournament.
Yes. The year before that was when Brandon Cobb caught the 12 and a 10. I mean, it was...
And then Keith Combs caught him the year before that.
Yeah, fishing was phenomenal.
Yes.
So Bassmaster Elite Series has gotten very fortunate with their scheduling, and it looks like they're fixing to get very, very fortunate again when they go to Lake Fork here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, they've timed it once again. It's probably as good as you can time it. But again, looking back... We thought that at Sam Rayburn too.
Yeah,
and we ended up being wrong on that one. But I do agree with Kevin on this one that I think it could be on. And talking to some other guys that I know at Lake Fork that fish a lot over there and actually got that they feel like the spawn will be going on this year all the way into the second week of May. They said they really think that due to their history that there'll be more. The biggest part of the spawn has not occurred yet. So at Lake Fork.
And it sounds like if anybody, I know I've talked to a lot of people this week. Me and Steve have been talking about doing a show about Lake Fork, kind of where it's at. I've talked to a lot of people this week. It's talking about, man, that sounds awesome. I'm starting to plan a trip to go to Fork. Or I'm thinking about going to Fork. It sounds like you need to get over there and go fishing at Lake Fork. And if you do, run in Lake Fork Resort, give those guys. Go in there, check those guys out. They got plenty of tackle. Tell them your buddy from Tackle Talk Live sent you, or Pope's Landing. Make sure to go check them out. If you're looking for a place to stay, contact one of those two places. I know they'll love to have you.
And real quick, we got 3 more sponsors we want to recognize before we get to the Boss Tournament Trail results, and we'll talk about the Elite Series coming up at Sabine River. Kevin, Pride Rods.
Pride Rods, custom rods built in Montgomery, Texas. The finest rods ever made by Mr. Billy Kistler, constructed with the finest North Fork from composite blank by Gary Loomis. They carry a complete line of spinning and casting rods, both for freshwater and saltwater. Pride Rods pass not only the eye test, but performance as well. Ask your local tackle dealer if they carry Pride rods and pick one up. Try it for yourself. To learn more, go to priderods.com or call 832-418-6040.
And if you're headed for Toledo Bend or Sam Rayburn, stop by Keith's Tackle for the latest fishing report, and from former Elite Series Pro Ben Matsubu, as well as Keith Neighbors himself. Both these guys fish Toledo and Rayburn frequently, so they can steer you in the right direction, tell you what you need to be doing. They'll have the latest information on what's going on each body of water. So, and they fully stocked, and I mean fully stocked, assortment of baits and tackle that you will need to fish Toledo Bend or Sam Rayburn. Keith Neighbors has it right there at Keith's Toledo Bend Tackle. So check it out. And Keith is located as soon as you cross the Pendleton Bridge. It's located just on Highway 21 there, just west of Toledo Bend, just across the Pendleton Bridge. It'll be on your left if you're heading west. And so check it out. Stop in and tell them Tackle Talk Live sent you.
And last but not least, the Lakes Insurance Agency, which is an independent insurance agency that has been taking care of Texans' insurance needs for 25 plus years, offering auto, homeowners, boat, recreational vehicle, life, health, and commercial insurance. The owner, Clark Moore, is a local guide and tournament angler who understands your insurance needs as a boat owner and wants to be your go-to guy. Give him a call for your free quote. The agency is located at 805 Southeast Stalling Suite 3 in Nacogdoches, Texas. You can give them a call at 936-205-4467.
Real quick, the Camus Electric Boss Tournament Trail, April 3rd on Caddo Lake. That's just past Saturday. And Kevin, they a lot of guys caught them. One stringer for 26.02 won it. That was Bubba Roy and Josh Johnson. Pretty good team over there. They've been around. I know Josh as an angler has done really well up in that neck of the woods for a long time. They had a 775 kicker. Seventh place was Kevin Giddens and Copen Gorham. They had 5 fish limit for 20.78. And Jeremy Fair and Randy Fair, Randy's my old team partner, he had 5 fish. They had 5 fish for 20.73. And according to those guys, Kevin, it was on.
Yeah,
it was.
I heard that as well.
They said the fishing on Caddo Lake was as good as they've ever been. Slot fish, unders, overs. They said, man, it was the gamut. And chatterbaits, swim jigs, jigs, what else? Cincos. They said, God, it just seemed like whatever you picked up and threw, you probably fixing to get bit. And but they said the bass were biting big time on Caddo Lake last week.
I did. I heard the same thing. Caddo Lake was on fire last weekend. And guys, these are weights with a it's a slot lake.
Yeah.
So when you're kicking out these kind of weights on a slot lake, you know they're biting and biting very, very good.
Yeah. And
so
again, they had a great turnout for this event. Again, Mike Eccles runs this. Boss Tournament Trail Director does an outstanding job of running this event, has run it for years, and congratulations to all those guys that did really well. Just looking down the list here, I'm looking at the last place that I see here. Mandy Coleman and Johnny Johnson, they had 4 fish limit for $14.36, and they still got $250 check for this event. So all the way up, there's Rusty Williams, Juddy Hamus. I think they were 9th. They had 7-17. And 17-17 for this event. John Wayne Kennedy, Trey Morgan, guys that won the Poche tournament, they came in, looks like 11th. They had 5 fish limit for 16 pounds. So that's a great team right there, did really well. So congratulations to all you guys.
And Steve, this week starts the BAS Elite Series event on Sabine River. Today is practice day number 2. They'll get 3 practice days, 1 more again tomorrow. I'm hearing mixed emotions from over there from a couple of the guys that I've talked to.
We heard that before the tournament too.
Yes. And then also, I've texted a couple of my buddies from down south and kind of getting their take on it. And they said, man, if they could fish the Louisiana side, it would be on. The fishing down there on the Louisiana side is really good right now. Unfortunately, they still cannot fish it.
Yeah.
It's just they can fish the Louisiana side of the main waterway, but everything else, it has to be in Texas waters. They cannot fish any of the backwaters on the Louisiana side. So they're saying you're going to be able to catch plenty of fish. This size is going to be tough to come by.
Yeah, and what a shame because, for some reason our Louisiana legislature's got this all screwed up in South Louisiana. And all these private landowners down there really starting to – I just don't understand the thing. It's costing our state millions of dollars, especially on the south of I-10. Guys that want to hold tournaments down there don't want to do it anymore because of all the lawsuits of people trespassing, and it's turned into a mess. So I'm asking you, call your legislator, get involved, call your senator, get them involved, get this changed because it's actually hurting our state of Louisiana right now. We've got to change some of these laws and get it to where we're the only state that has this, Kevin.
Yeah,
the only state.
Yeah, I mean, Texas is the same waterway. They don't have this issue there. I mean, they're dealing with the same things.
Florida, we don't have this in any other state but Louisiana. But anyway, that's my high horse for today. But there are some guys that, looking at how far you're going to have to run, look for some of these elite guys to run as far as Galveston Bay. That's a 100-mile run one way, Kevin. That's a 2.5-hour trip.
But here's the thing on that, Steve. That's a big risk.
Oh,
that is a big risk. And you are still in the beginning part of the season, the middle portion of the season, and those guys to take that risk to come back to maybe not make it back. I mean, points. They're fishing for AOY points right now. Yeah. And I know a lot of those guys are nervous about even thinking about taking that risk because they can't take a chance of having a big 0 and finishing, in the last 10 or 12 guys in this tournament and not getting any AOY points out of it.
Well, and you're probably exactly right on who's going to make that run. It's more apt to be the guys that are way down the list that are gambling.
Yeah, now that's a whole different story.
Yeah, those top 10 guys probably not going to gamble very far.
No.
They just want to catch fish and get limits every day and get out of there.
Get ready to go to Fork. Hopefully maybe get a top 50 finish around that 50 cut. If you get 1 3-pound bite, you're in top 50. They're saying 10 to 11 pounds a day could possibly make championship day, the top 10 championship day.
Well, Kev, a lot of guys will say that fishing circuit, I don't fish for a check. This is an event right here. You might just be fishing for a check and hope you get out of there with a check, because those guys that are in that top 10, top 15 and AOY, they don't want to blow their opportunity at this event just because the fishing is just not an outstanding fishery.
Right.
There's a lot of fish to be caught, but it's not Lake Fork. It's not Sam Rayburn.
It's just you can't take that risk. Well,
No.
you're taking a risk. You don't want to take a risk of maybe getting in somewhere and you can't get out, or you make a long run and then the water's not right. You can't get in somewhere.
Right.
Making a long run, not having enough gas, making a long run, something happened. It's just a lot of risks that go into effect for the Sabine River for these guys.
Hurricane effect. 2 major hurricanes just east of the Sabine River, which brought a lot of saltwater influx into this region.
It did, but my contacts down south said it did not have a big effect.
No fish kills, no major fish kill.
On the bass population.
Yeah.
Some, but not a lot on the bass population. They got plenty of water, Steve, down there to get out of all of that.
Right.
I think that part's fine. Now, I'm also hearing last year and the year before last, they've had 2 really good spawns down there.
Yeah.
So fish population is not a problem.
Yeah.
It's just the size.
I learned something today, too, reading an article with Greg Hackney, an interview they did with Greg Hackney. Tidal water will not play a big role in this event. Greg's theory is that in the spring, tidal water is not as big an effect because the bass are getting ready to do their thing. They're getting ready to spawn. They're committed to shallow water. They're going to stay shallow no matter what. So the tide, he said, is more relevant in the fall is when the tide becomes a factor in terms of feeding. And he said that the tide should have minimal effect on this event.
Right. And that's now muddy water, finding the right water. And that's all I hear. When you talk
Clean
to the
water.
locals down there, it's all about finding the right water.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that event goes. Man, what a turnaround. So you go from Sabine River to Lake Fork.
Yeah. Rayburn. You just kind of, you go everywhere here. And of course, you come from these massive bodies of water, great fisheries.
Well, I'm talking about for the elite guys.
Oh, exactly. Just for the elite guys heading for, like you said,
From Sabine River
a mud hole to
Lake Fork, who we just talked to Jason Conn. And we're going to post this for you here in a minute, but I wanted to bring it up to Steve and show Steve. So Conn was working on the fish on the bed.
Yeah, they caught it.
They caught it.
Hey, 8-pounder right there.
We'll have it up for you here, James. When James gets it up, we'll have it up for you and show you what Conn caught while he was actually on the phone. What his client caught, what they were looking at when they were on the phone with us. That was pretty funny there. So
and I really believe the guys like Greg Hackney, Todd Faircloth. People that are not, well, Todd's not fishing the elites, is he? But Greg Hackney is. Those shallow water guys in this event will, I think, shine just like Greg did a couple of years ago. I think he won this event. And so.
Well, you got Caleb Summerall that's from down there.
Yeah.
You got all those. South Louisiana is well representing the BAS
Crochet.
in the lead event. Poche. You can.
Yeah.
Poche's not
Crochet.
fishing.
No, Crochet.
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 Yes, Crochet.
Yeah, Cliff Crochet is in this event.
No, he's fishing MLF.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Never mind.
It's hard
Forget.
to remember which one's on which. But
they just need to open it all up to everybody.
But you got a lot of those South Louisiana guys, I'm sure, that are anxious for this event. Nick Abshire, a good friend of mine, just texted me. He says, I think Sabine Waste will shock everyone of what they're going to catch. And that's good to hear.
Yeah.
And I hope he's right on that. And I know the elite guys are sure hoping he's right on that as well.
I know Hackney predicted 14, 15 pounds to win it and 10 pounds a day to kind of get for check, So
Yeah.
we'll see if that holds true. And that's probably pretty accurate,
Yeah.
It's kind of like Red River.
Yeah.
Let's just be
So
honest.
remember, this week BASS Live will be on Fox Sports up to I think 11 or 12 o'clock. Then it will go back. On to the BASS, the Bassmaster website. So you can watch the live footage this week from South Louisiana, Sabine River. So real quick, James, are we ready to show this? We're going to show the picture of the fish that Jason Conn, his client, caught off the bed while they were on the phone with us. We're going to throw that up right now for you guys just to check out. Jason just sent that to me. Jason, I appreciate you sending that to us, man. That's pretty cool to watch while he was talking to us to catch that fish. So
and while James is posting that for us real quick. Sealy Outdoors is coming up at Sam Rayburn, their big event coming up next week, April 16th, 17th, and 18th. That's a week from Saturday. And should be a great event. And again, as Kevin has alluded to, next week we'll have some information on that particular body of water. Maybe have some guys come on, tell you what you need to be doing, what you need to look for. Where's the spawn on Rayburn? Where's it at? Is this going to be a shallow water event again?
Next week we'll have any and everything Sealy Outdoors to break it all down for you guys, the ones that are coming in. So for all you Sam Rayburn guys, hang with us next week. We will have all the info you need for the Big Bass Splash. Probably might have Bob on as well.
Yeah,
just kind of answer any and everybody's questions that you might have. This weekend, Steve, the BFL is going to Lake of the Pines.
Great body of water.
And it is hot right now.
Don't shock me at all.
2 weeks ago, Randy Deaver and his tournament partner weighed in 32 pounds to win that tournament.
Yeah.
They've been having 24, 25 pounds every weekend. He's been finishing second and third and fourth.
Yeah.
He finished fourth with 24 one weekend. He texted me.
Exactly.
So BFL is hitting it at a perfect time. That's going to be a great, great event. I look for some huge sacks to come out of that.
I said this last year when I fished there. 3 of my best trips for the whole year were at Lake of the Pines. Like, I was so impressed with that body of water. It's just a tremendous fishery. Excuse me. It's just a great fishery. I'm telling you, Texas Parks and Wildlife, it's a place that's not getting a lot of PR. And I'm telling you, there's some quality fish in there to be caught. And it's just going to be, obviously, as the results are proving that.
Yeah, it will be. It will be a great event this weekend for all the BFL guys. Wish we were able to attend that one, but just no way we can make that one. But, man, they hit the nail on the head with this one. It's going to be on fire. Some big, big weights will be caught this weekend at BFL. So
it's going to wrap us up. That's it. And we appreciate you watching Tackle Talk Live. Again, if you want to sponsor the show, hey, message us on our Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll make sure we get a packet out to you as soon as possible. And so with that being said, Kevin, anything else?
I think that wraps up for the week.
Hey, from the banks of Sibley Lake here in Natchez, Louisiana, good luck, good fishing. And if you want to continue to catch good fish, you got to watch Tackle Talk Live.